Hey guys, we're back, and this time we're talking about book number 545 in the Lux series, and that is Origin. So, the last one was Opal, which ended on a terrible cliffhanger. But it's okay because it all gets resolved in this book. Okay, so Origin by Jennifer L Armentrout. 5 stars, of course, because I love Lux and I love JLA, so 5 stars. Main characters are Katie and Damon, and this book, so all the previous books except for Shadows have been from Katie's point of view. And this book is actually, it switches point of view between Katie and Damon. So that's kind of cool because you get to see Damon's point of view for some of the book. So, as far as the book goes, it picks up where Opal left off. Kat is in the hands of Daedalus, which is an offshoot of the DoD. She's being told the other side of the story. You know, they say a story always has 2 sides. And they try to train her. Damon turns himself in to get to Katie. They bust out of Daedalus with Archer, who's one of the Origin. And they escape to the outside. And they get betrayed. And they have to make a run for it. Daedalus comes after them. There's a alien smackdown on the Las Vegas Strip. And some people don't make it. They end up in Idaho in one of Luck's hidey holes. Apparently Luck has several properties all over everywhere. I don't know. and then something really weird happens to all the Luxon, and that's where the book ends. Yeah. So it kind of ends on another cliffhanger. I'm sure Kaylee would say it's not really a cliffhanger because it's not Opal, but you're left wondering what in the crap is going on. So it's a great book. I'm still enjoying rereading this series. And all the stuff I forgot. Like, you know, when it's been a few years since you read something, like, you forget a lot of stuff. And so it's so cool to, like, go back and kind of fall in love with the book and the characters all over again. All right, so that was the quick and the dirty, the review, which is 5 stars. And now for the spoilers or recap. Okay, so Kat wakes up in Nevada with onyx bands. And, you know, onyx, it counteracts their powers, but it's also painful. It's painful to Katie. So she wakes up with onyx bands on her neck, wrists, and ankles. There's a dude named Sergeant Dasher who is telling her if she fights that she's going to be sprayed with onyx. Matthew and Dawson have knocked Damon out and locked him up in a cabin in the Luxon community to keep him from going after Kat. He breaks out, imagine that, and goes home. Dawson tries to talk him down, but Damon says, and this is a quote from Damon, "I'll burn the world to save her." Damon ain't playing, y'all. That's his girl. And Kat crazy, too. That's why he said we'd make crazy together. All right. So I wrote, when he said, "I'll burn the world to save her," I said, well then. Okay. Kat fights anyway. And after 4 rounds with the onyx, she's done. And Dr. Roth wants to examine her and tells her that the Luxon actually started the war with the Aram. Archer is his guard, and he's actually nice. And so it switches back to Damon. Damon's talking with Dawson and Beth. And Beth basically tells Damon to go after Kat because he's like, you know, you need Kat and Kat needs you because they're going to make her do terrible things. And switches back to Kat. Kat wakes up to a shadow in her room, like in the corner. And I looked at the corner like, there's no shadow in my room, right? She wakes up to a shadow in the corner, and when the shadow gets closer, she realizes it's Blake. Yeah, that Blake. Creepy Blake. Yeah. So she wails on him. I mean, can you really be surprised? I mean, he is the cause of all of her miseries. So he tells her that they're trying to stop the Luxon from taking over. And then she has to go see Dr. Roth again, and he actually examines her, and then they take her to, Sergeant Dasher takes her to this hospital room, and there's patients that have cancer and various diseases, and they're getting some special miracle treatment called LH11 to try to cure their diseases. And on the other side of the wall are all these happy Luxon who are donating blood to help all the sick humans. So it all seems like this very legit, trying to save the world kind of thing, right? Okay. So, well, not really. When I say right, okay, Katie doesn't believe it for a second, okay? Dasher tells Kat that there are 3 kinds of Luxon. The ones who want to help humans, the ones who want to assimilate and just kind of live their lives in hiding and just live their life, and then those who want to take over. Damon goes to Luck to try and figure out how to get to Kat. Luck agrees to help Damon if he can get Luck the LH11. And Damon doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know why Luck wants it. He just knows that's the price to get to Katie, and he doesn't care. He'll pay it. Kat gets taken to the training rooms with Dasher and Blake. And Dasher wants to see her abilities. And that means they throw her in a room and pit her against other hybrids. Kat refuses to fight because she's Kat. And she basically gets beat up a lot. Yeah. Damon heads for Mount Weather to turn himself in for a chance to see Kat. Nancy Husher tells him they've been waiting on him. Nancy tells Damon that he and Kat's mutation is basically the best one they've ever seen. It's almost perfect, and they want to study it. Yes, see? Yeah. Back in the training rooms, this time they put Kat in with Blake. And Blake keeps, like, goading her. He keeps calling her Kitten, which, you know, is Damon's pet name for her. He asks her if she told Damon about kissing him. And then he asks her if she told him about them cuddling at night. And that's when she flips. And you can't blame her, right? Because he was coming in while she was asleep. Like, super creepy. Anyway, she blasts Blake. He hits the wall and then lands on the floor, and he's dead. That's it. She killed Blake. Yeah. And it's like, freaking Jennifer Armentrout, man. Because, like, you know, the previous books, like, after you find out everything that Blake's done, you want Blake to die, right? Like you're like, Blake needs to die. Like, I'm sorry for Chris, but Blake needs to die. But then when Blake actually dies, all you feel is you feel sorry for Katie. You feel sorry for Blake. Because even though he did all these terrible things, I don't want to say he did them for good reason, because he really didn't, but he wasn't a monster. He wasn't a terrible person, right? I think it's the way he died. I don't know. I think it's because, right, he was just saying things, and that's not a reason to kill somebody. You don't kill somebody because of something they say, right? And that's why Kat has this very real kind of crisis, because she knows that she killed Blake over something he said. But it wasn't that simple, because she was being beaten up and traumatized. Jennifer Armentrout's just freaking amazing. Okay. Anyway, so Dasher is happy with her performance because he's a psycho. And before Nancy will let Damon see Kat, she shows him video of Kat fighting Dasher and getting sprayed with the onyx and fighting Blake. And Archer takes Damon to Kat's cell, and she's asleep. And Damon sees, like, all these bruises on her and her split lip and stuff. So he kisses her and heals her. And she wakes up and she's like, you shouldn't have come. You know, they're going to make you heal humans. They're going to make you do these terrible things. And he's like, I wasn't going to let you go through this by yourself. And it's just like this really sweet little reunion in a cell. So they talk, and Kat tells Damon about all the stuff that she's seen and been told. And then Archer comes to get them for tests. Dr. Roth and Nancy want to see how quickly Damon can heal Kat. And Dr. Roth is going to cut Kat, and Damon's about to flip full Luxon. So Kat's like, just give it here, I'll cut myself. So she does. Damon heals her. and they're sent back to their cells. And apparently their cells are next to each other and they have adjoining bathrooms. So they meet up in the bathroom, and Damon takes his true form so they can communicate psychically, telepathically, in their brains. And he tells her about Luck and the deal. So the next day, Nancy takes Damon and Kat to the hospital floor so Damon can see the humans being helped and the happy Luxon happy to help. And then a siren goes off. And apparently there's some issue with Building B, which is where the Origin are kept. So they tell Damon and Kat to get out of there, but before they can leave, the freaking elevator opens up and this little kid named Micah comes out of the elevator, and he has purple eyes, like Luck, which means he's a Targaryen. Sorry, I can't help it. And they shoot at this little kid, and he basically like forms this energy barrier and turns the bullets into dust. Then he sucks the guns to him and turns them to dust. And so the little kid is like a total friggin' bad tail. Archer ends up shooting him with a trank dart, and Nancy tells them that he's an Origin. And the reason they call him the Origin is because the Origin children are the children of a Luxon and a hybrid. And she calls them the origin of a new species. Like, she thinks this is the answer to, if the Luxon attack, we can use these Origin because they're just as strong as a Luxon, if not stronger. Stronger than a hybrid. So, yeah. And, I mean, Damon and Kat pretty much figure out, and Nancy pretty much tells them, like, the reason that they have adjoining cells and adjoining bathrooms is because all they need is a few moments of privacy to make an Origin. Yeah, and Kat and Damon are like, no, we're not doing that. So the children are extremely intelligent, but have powers, like I said. The ones who can't be controlled are killed, and this is all stuff that Nancy is telling them. And then come to find out, Archer, who has been Kat's guard this whole entire time, is an Origin. So the next day, they step up the tests. They bring Kat in separate from Damon because of how Damon flipped out last time. And they cut Kat up like a freaking sushi roll. Like, they mess her up bad. And when they bring Damon in, Damon flips full Luxon, which you can't blame him. And Nancy's like, well, before you go kicking everybody's behind, just know that the wounds that Kat has are fatal. So you can either fight all of us for hurting Kat, or you can heal Kat. And they know that by the time he heals Kat, he's going to be so wiped out he won't be able to do anything else. And so he does. He heals Kat. And they go back to her room. And Archer actually, like, covers him up. And it's like, Archer's a good guy. He's the only one. The only one in the whole place. Anyway, so the next day, they start getting Damon to heal human soldiers. And he heals them. And they're okay. But then they give them the LH-11, the Serum, Prometheus, whatever. And they all go psycho and go running at sonic speed into the door and go splat. Nancy tells Damon, because Damon's like, well, why do you need me to do this if you got all these Origin? And she's like, well, Origin can heal wounds, but they can't cure disease and they can't mutate. So we still need the Luxon. So out in the hall at some point while Archer is transporting Kat, one of the Origin is walking by Kat and like sends her a message, because all the Origin apparently can read your thoughts and can communicate psychically. And so they're crossing paths with this Origin, and he tells Kat, help us and we'll help you. And Archer's like, what'd he say to you? And she won't say anything. So when they get in the elevator, he like, cuts the elevator off, and he's like, look, this is one of the places, the bathrooms and elevators are the only places that we can talk. And he said, I'm pretty sure I know what he told you. And let me just tell you that if you let the Origins out, it would be like opening the raptor cages in Jurassic Park. I love Archer. I like Archer. And then he tells her that they have a mutual friend. Yeah. He's Luck's friend. Implant, spy, whatever. All right. So after Damon successfully mutates a human who does not go splat into the door at light speed, Nancy is like overjoyed, of course, and tells Damon that he's a keeper. everybody's so excited and not paying attention. So Kat palms a syringe of LH11. And when Archer gets them in the elevator, he's like, okay, kids, look, I saw you take that syringe. I know you have it. And if I know you have it, it won't be long before they figure it out. So this is do or die time. If we're getting out, we got to do it now. So Damon changes into Nancy because, you know, Damon and Dawson can change their appearance. So Damon changes into Nancy and they head for Building B, which is where all the little origin children are kept. They let out Micah and all the other origins and all hell breaks loose. Kat, Damon, and Archer are trying to get out. So they're heading for the stairwell. And they're literally coming up the stairwell. And some soldier comes out a door and shoots at Kat. And the bullet freezes, like literally right at her freaking head. The bullet freezes. And then Micah proceeds to kill the soldier. And it's like, I like her. How dare you? So Archer tells them, you know, hey, if we get separated, just meet up at this motel in Ash Springs outside of Las Vegas. So Dasher shows up. Damon throws Dasher. Nancy shows up, but she's like, don't shoot them. We need them alive. And so they're running, right? They're running for their lives. Daedalus is after them with helicopters, vehicles, you name it, they're after them. So Archer splits off to kind of, to you know, if they split up, then maybe they can shake off Daedalus. And so Damon and Kat keep running. They make it to Ash Springs. They make it to the motel. And after they get cleaned up and they're talking, Kat finally breaks down because you think this whole entire time, right, it hasn't been safe for her to cry. It hasn't been safe for her to finally feel the grief and all the emotions and things that she hasn't been allowed to feel. And so she finally kind of feels those things and breaks down and tells Damon everything. And it's just this, I love Kat and Damon. It's just this sweet little precious moment with them. And then next thing you know, somebody's knocking on the door and it's Paris, Luxon friend. Say that 5 times fast. Lux friend, who is the Luxon. There we go. And Archer and Luck all show up. They all decide like, hey, we're leaving. So they get in Luck's Hummer and they head for Las Vegas. And they go to this Luxon community outside of Las Vegas into this big, huge like palace of a house, which is owned by this woman named Lila. And guess who opens the door? Dee does. So the gang is all there. Dee, Dawson, Ash, Andrew, Matthew, the gang is all there. So Dee, Damon, and Dawson have like this really precious reunion. And it's just, I cried a few times. Y'all know it doesn't take much for me to cry. But I cried a few times reading this book. And Dee and Archer kind of have a moment. It's like, and so Lila is apparently a friend of Matthew's. And they sit down in the den and they're talking. And Luck is like, I know how to make fake ID. So everybody's getting fake ID and we're all going to disappear. And I wrote in parentheses, well, since I'm only at 71%, I kind of doubt that. I kind of doubt that you're all just going to magically get up tomorrow and disappear with your new identities. And they didn't. Yeah. So Kat and Damon's new names are actually characters from Wendy Higgins' Sweet Evil series, which is Kaiden and Anna. And I love that because that's an amazing series. So if you haven't read that, read the Sweet Evil series by Wendy Higgins because it's awesome. Okay. So Damon and Kat do grown folk things. And Damon asks her to marry him. He's like, since we're here, since we're in Vegas, he's like, I know I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Do you want to spend the rest of your life with me? And she's like, yes. So they borrow a car from Lila and they go to the little white wedding chapel and they get married. And here's a quote from Damon. It's a thought of Damon's. And in that moment, it seemed like everything we'd been through, everything we'd lost and had to give up was worth it. This was what mattered, what would always matter the most. So when they get home, Matthew yells at them for leaving because, you know, they're being hunted by Daedalus and they left and went to get married. But nobody knows they got married. But like they wanted to keep it a secret and have that just for themselves. And Archer, of course, because he can read their thoughts, knows what they did. And he kind of grumbles and is just like, whatever. But he doesn't tell their business. And Damon takes her upstairs and they do married people stuff. And then, and then when they come downstairs, everybody's eating And Matthew leaves the room. And Archer goes out behind him. And you're kind of like, okay, what's up? Something's up. And then all of a sudden, Luck grabs Lila by the throat, and he keeps saying, how long, how long? And Lila's like, I didn't have a choice. Luck kills Lila, like blasts her right in the chest and kills her. Archer comes in with his hand on Matthew's neck, and he's like, tell him what you did. So Matthew called Daedalus to turn in Damon and Katie in exchange for everybody else getting to go free. And that's, I know, but that's not all. That's not all. Nope. No, that's not all. Come to find out, he's also the one that turned in Beth and Dawson in exchange for Dee and Damon and Ash and Andrew going free. Yeah. So he betrayed Beth and Dawson, and then he betrayed Damon and Katie. Yeah. Dawson kills Matthew. Yeah. And everyone scrambles into vehicles because they know that Daedalus is on the way. So they're trying to get out of Vegas. The traffic is stopped on the strip. There's a barricade. There's soldiers checking the vehicles one by one. They're like, what are we going to do? You know? So Damon comes up with the idea of actually exposing themselves to cause a distraction so they can escape. So all the Luxon get out of the cars and light up and start doing Luxon things. A news chopper shows up and is videotaping them, and the freaking military helicopter shoots it down. Yes. Yeah. So then soldiers show up. Sally sells, she sells by the seashore. The soldiers show up with the PEP weapons, which is like pulse electronic. It shoots an electric pulse, and because Luxon are made of light, right, it kills them one shot. One shot kills the Luxon. Okay, so the soldiers show up with these PEP guns that kill Luxon, okay? They get Paris, Luck's friend. Paris is dead. Then the Aram show up because the DOD have Aram that are working with them. And Andrew is fighting these two Aram. Damon takes one down, and then Andrew and the Aram end up in the pool. The Aram punches through Andrew's chest and is feeding off Andrew. Next thing you know, Andrew's dead. Then an Aram gets Cat and is feeding off Cat. Cat hits him with the swords. Then someone shoots at her, and Archer like grabs her out of the way. And then someone shoots again, and it's going towards Ash and Beth. And Ash pushes Beth out of the way, but Ash gets his, and now Ash is dead. So Paris, Andrew, and Ash, gone. All three dead. Just boom, 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 boom in Vegas. So Luck gets them an SUV, and they get in, and they drive to Idaho, which is where he had like this hidey hole. And everybody's just quiet because they're all mourning because, you know, Matthew's dead, Ash is dead, Andrew's dead, Paris is dead, like Adam's dead. So it's kind of understandable that the mood is a little somber in the car. So they get to the cabin in Idaho, and Damon and Dawson kind of have this moment in the kitchen where they're talking, and Dawson tells Damon that Beth is pregnant. Yep, they're about to have a little origin baby. Yeah. Then one night, Damon and Kat are asleep on the couch, and Kat wakes up because she's hot, and Damon is in his true Luxon form, and everybody comes downstairs, and apparently it happened to Dee, Damon, and Dawson. All three of them woke up in their Luxon form. They go outside to see what's happening, and there's thousands of lights hitting the ground. It's Luxon. And Lux says E.T. phone time. Yeah. Luck always has like these one-liner like zingers. And anyway, when they get outside and all these Luxons start landing, Dee, Damon, and Dawson all light up in their true form and start walking towards the other Luxon like they're in some kind of trance, like they have no control over themselves at all. And that's the end of the book. That's where it ends. You see what I'm saying? Like it just cuts off and you're just like, what the crap? WTF, Jennifer Armentrout. So the next and last book in the Luxon series is Opposition, I believe. So, well, it's not the last book because there's Oblivion, which is some of the books from Damon's point of view, and which I'm not reading right now because I'm trying to get to the Origins series. But I will probably go back and reread. I've read Oblivion, but I will probably go back and reread Oblivion. And then there's also, I think there's another one that's from the it's about the Aram, about Hunter. I'm not sure. Anyway, so but the next book in the original series is Opposition. That's what we're doing next. So thanks so much, you guys. See you next time.